So we got another clickbait video review. Watching these videos so you don't have to, or I guess if you're watching this, you do have to because you're watching it along with me. So this one came up. Nobody sent this to me. I was just reading Facebook, and in full chode mode, this thing showed up. I don't know if it's an ad or just he just posted it, but it's it's the surprise face. Check it out, clickbait, blah blah blah. So stop mastering at -14 lufs. How long should my song be? How loud should my song be for streaming? And for all I know, this is actually probably a really informative video. And remember, I'm not a mastering engineer. And really, when I hear about a studio that says we mix and master, if the same guy's mastering as mixing, I don't trust them. I don't know if that's just a get off my lawn kind of old people thing, or I just don't think. I think you're multiplying mistakes if it's mixing and mastering at the same place. But who knows what music business is anymore? I don't know. It's like you got to that time when all mastering was making stuff louder, it seemed like. And, I have so much respect for the mastering engineers I've worked with for decades, but it's just a hard one. But anyway, let me shut up and let's see what this clickbait face whole dealie is. So let's go and play it.
Oh, this is gonna be a good video today. Something that I see a lot of people are so confused about. And that is, how loud should I master my music? So if you've ever had that question, this is the video for you. Hey, I'm Bobby Balo, the mixing and mastering engineer at Raytown Productions. I also run a Facebook community called...
Oh, right there you say that's mixing and mastering. So does he master his own mixes, or does he mix stuff, hand it off to another mastering engineer, hopefully in a different room with a different set of problems, or... So you actually mix and master right there. I don't know. Let's see.
Called the Home Studio Fast Track. It's a place to go to learn with other music creators and level up your audio skill.
Let's see. Oh, he just said level up too. Best free plugins ebook for mixing, mastering. You can hire him. It tells you what his gear is. About his camera, ring light. What is a ring light? Everybody keeps talking about ring lights. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, let's see what goes on here.
I probably get asked this question a few times a week, and if you ever have tried to go on Google and do a search or use YouTube to find an answer to how loud your song should be before you send them out for streaming, it's an absolute nightmare. Some people say, you need to master your songs at -14 LUFS, and other people say -16, some people say -10, some people say whatever, it doesn't matter at all. So what is the right answer? And more importantly, why is there this confusion around how loud a song should be in the first place? So let's talk about why there's so much confusion first. Depending on which streaming services you use, a lot of them have different requirements. And some services will put what's called loudest normalization on by default, and others don't. And what that does, that adjusts the volume of every song to be a similar volume when it's being played back. On top of all that, you have different file formats that are being used to stream the audio, which have different quality, and the list goes on and on and on. So it's no wonder why people are so confused about this. And it gets even more complicated. There's no formal regulation over the playback volumes, so these different streaming companies could potentially have their own loudness war against themselves. And there's nothing that says that the streaming platform will use the same requirements that they have now in the future. Spotify has already changed their requirements from where they were a few years ago, and if you read the language, they're gonna change again sometime in the future. So what if they just get rid of their volume requirements? Then what do? We're gonna be stuck with a song on their platform that's way quieter than anything else that's recently submitted. And typically, if a song is louder than what they request for the volume requirement, they turn the gain down. So that's not changing any of the dynamics. However, some of these streaming services, when they receive a master that's too quiet, they have to turn the volume up. But a lot of times they'll put on a limiter, or some services will even clip the audio so that they can then raise it to their desired level. And that is set by a robot. That's not a person. That's going to change the sound of your song. So you can kiss that punchy, awesome snare that you dialed in goodbye. So why did this all happen? And it all comes down to the loudness war. At least that's what everybody's blaming it on. The real reason here is that it's to help the person who's listening to the audio. It's annoying as
I mean, we're really talking about EBU R128, right? Wasn't that more about having the commercials so much louder than the TV programs, really? I mean, loudness measurement, it's a tricky thing. I mean, is a song that's really quiet the whole time and then has one loud part, is that just as loud as something that's a little bit quieter but loud the whole time? I mean, so it's really, this is a really hard thing to judge and stuff, but yeah, I don't think it wasn't to help us out any. That's more like replay gain or something, but I mean, I guess it's the same sort of thing, but I think this had to do with TV, didn't it? Let's pull up the useless Google on this. I mean, that's how we got LUFS in the first place here. So EBU R128. That looks confusing. Let's look at something simple. EBU R128 is a recommendation for loudness normalization and a maximum level of audio signals. It primarily followed during audio mixing of television and radio programs and adopted by broadcasters to measure and control program loudness. It was first issued by the European Broadcasting Union in August 2010 and most recently revised in June 2014. R128 employs an international standard for measuring audio loudness stated in the ITU RBS 1770 recommendations, and using the loudness measures LU loudness units and LUFS loudness units reference to full scale, specifically created with this purpose. The EBU Tech 3341 document further clarified loudness metering implementation and practices in 2016. And that was about when we were 2012, 2013, we started hearing that this might make an actual difference. But didn't this come to America as well? And, you know, Spotify's using this stuff. Let's see. So adoption, aftermath. Where's the U.S.? What do you call the AES EBU? So it would be the AES that, no, would it be the AES? NAB would be our guys, right? Okay, so here we go. Target levels or estimated equivalent level adopted by streaming services. -14 LUFS, Tidal, Amazon Music, YouTube, and Spotify. -16 for Apple Music. -18 for Facebook. But like the guy just said, and I heard earlier, you know, you don't know whether or not the Apple normalization is on or whatever. I mean, it's still tricky, but the idea that the volume wars could be over is pretty awesome. So who knows? Well, let's see what all he's going to see.
Hell, when we're sitting there listening to music and we have to keep reaching for the volume knob and turning it up and down every song because different mastering engineers master music at different levels. This was an attempt to make sure that if you're listening and enjoying the experience, you don't have to keep doing that. The streaming services are going to adjust the level for you. But because we're all human beings and we have this innate bias into thinking that something that's louder sounds better, we had this tendency over the last few decades to keep making music louder and louder and louder because it sounds better. Up to a certain point, though. And that comes back to the question we had.
At that point,
so how loud should my song
very early
be?
In the volume wars.
So we came to the part of the video where I'm going to just give you the one magic number that's going to make your song sound amazing on every single platform. So when mastering your music, what I recommend is that you
clickbait, 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 clickbait.
And
Let's do this
platform.
again.
So when mastering your music, what I recommend is that you master your music at whatever the hell you want it to be. It doesn't matter. Just make sure it doesn't sound like crap. But on a serious note, make sure that you just master the song to try to be competitive for your genre. The different genres have lots of different loudness requirements, so just find a good representative song or a reference and try to get somewhat near that volume without sacrificing the punch, the dynamics, and absolutely make sure that we're not losing that emotional element to the song. So who am I to tell you to not listen to the distribution services requirements? Well, I'm a believer that actions speak louder than words. So I went ahead and I measured the loudness of some of the top songs, and what I found is that the highest charting songs were actually at a loudness of about -7, -6, and in some cases for more aggressive styles of music like metal, I found them at -5 or even -4. But they still sound good. So if the top bands and artists and mastering engineers around the world aren't following these guidelines, why should you? Very rarely will there be a song that's mastered quieter than -10 LUFS. And that's 4 or 6 dB louder than what's recommended by these streaming platforms. And you don't have to take my word for it. Go and find some of your favorite tracks, bring them into a session, and analyze the volume. I guarantee they're going to be way louder than -16 or -14 LUFS. There is one more thing I want to mention though. Just because some of the top mixing and mastering engineers can get a song that's on the Billboard charts to -5 LUFS doesn't mean that your song can get that loud and still sound good. The loudness doesn't come from mastering. The loudness comes from a properly arranged song in a really, really good mix. If you get the balance off on the mix, you're limiting the song's loudness potential, and it's never ever going to get loud without it starting to sound distorted or sound like crap. So just make it sound as good as it can and don't worry about the number. And that way we're kind of future-proofing our songs so that if the volume requirements change for these streaming platforms, we're ready for them. They're already a little bit louder, so they can make their adjustments and we'll be just fine. And to help you a little bit more with your mastering, I put together an ebook that you can download completely free with my favorite free mixing and mastering plugins. Just click the link in the description. So if you know anybody that is getting ready to release a song or that you think would benefit from learning about this a little bit deeper, please go on your favorite social platform.
So I guess the message here is, and it makes kind of sense, is just make the stuff as loud as it's ever been and make it sound like crap, and that way you won't be quieter than anybody else when in case it gets listened to without loudness normalization on. Yeah, I guess you could. I don't know. It's hard. What do you tell a band? Do you make your CD quieter than everybody else's? Do they have CDs anymore? I don't know. Yeah, that's scary. Anyway, that's that. I'll see you guys later. I think I got a show tonight.